To capture surveys for the 2023 point in time count in Survey123, you'll open the app and you will continue without signing in, and you will select the 2023 point in time survey. At the bottom of this screen, you'll choose Collect. The first page will ask you a couple of questions. These are all treed questions, I guess you could say, flowchart questions. So based on your answer, then the answers on the next part will change. So on all the screens, you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner, there's either going to be a checkbox or a check mark or an arrow to move you to the next screen. Some of the questions are required. You'll see those with the asterisk, red asterisk after them. Interviewer name is required. So this is the name of you or someone in your team that's conducting the interview. There are both the in-person and observation form observation forms in this app. I will walk you through both briefly. So in-person interview. It'll ask if someone is interviewed already. If you say yes, it will discontinue the survey and you'll press the checkbox at the lower right-hand corner to exit. If you say no, it's going to ask you to choose an arrow in the lower right-hand corner to move forward. It's going to ask where they stayed that night. Was it a sheltered situation? If so, it'll give you these 3 questions, and that's all it's going to ask you. So once you've filled those in, you will press the check mark, and then that will be the end of this survey. We are focusing on unsheltered populations for this app for this year, so that's all the information that will be asked. If you choose unsheltered location, it will ask you similar questions, but there will be additional follow-up interview questions. When you're choosing each of these question fields, please use the down arrow in order to see all of your options. And there is options there for you to select based on where they said they are staying. So I'm going to stay street sidewalk. I do want to note at any time, if you want to change your answer in one of these drop downs, you must use the X in the circle to remove your answer before choosing the down arrow again to choose a different option. Otherwise, that down option won't give you all of the choices. If you know the municipality that they are in, you can complete that here. However, if you don't know which municipality you're in, you can also choose unknown. And then you can also just provide a location. So I'm going to say Walmart parking lot, east side. Then you'll see at the bottom of that screen, you need an arrow to the next page. You'll see 2 of 5. There are 5 screens you'll complete for this interview. It will give you some instructions on how to introduce yourself, although arguably you probably should have done this already at this point. And then it's going to ask you a little bit about the household you're assisting. If it is only an adult-only household, you do have to make sure there's a 0 under children, as there is right here. If there are children in the household, you will use that X in the circle under number of children to remove that and place the number of children in the household. So I'm going to actually say there's 1 adult, and then I'm going to change this just to show you what it's like when there are more than 1 person in the household. Once you've filled in those numbers, you will go on to the next screen using the arrow in the lower right-hand corner. It's going to ask you information about the adult first. So you're going to put in their information, what their age is. If you know the exact age, you can provide it in a following question. If you only know an estimate, you can do the estimated ages. It'll ask you gender. It'll ask you ethnicity, and then it's going to provide you with checkboxes for race, so you can select as many as are applicable. It'll ask you adult questions here. You'll have to use the small gray arrow that is facing sideways. Tap that to face it down. It'll give you some instructions on what to ask, the length of time they've been on the street. I'm going to say 2 weeks. Including this time, how many times have you been homeless in the last 3 years? Just this time or multiple times? It's going to ask you if they have veteran status. It's going to ask you if they are experiencing domestic violence. And then there are disability questions. Press the sideways gray arrow to open up those questions. Yes or no, do you have a disability? If you choose yes, you'll get a drop down of additional options. If you choose no, it will continue on to the next screen. And here you can multiple select as many as you need to. Once you're done with this, instead of using the arrow in the lower right-hand corner, you want to make sure you address this 1 of 3 screen. So you want to use the arrow beside that 1 of 3. It's going to ask you the name of the next person. It's going to ask you their age. Are they unaccompanied, meaning they're on their own as a child, teen, or parent? What is their gender? What is their ethnicity? What is their race? And any disabilities will be asked. The reason we're not asking the length of time homeless on this one is because this is a child. Under 18, we don't ask the chronic questions. And then again, there's a third tab, so we want to make sure that we're hitting that. I must have put in for another adult, so I apologize there. I must have put in 3 people, or an adult and 2 children. It won't remind you of what you put in, so you'll just be filling in based on the household composition. Age, gender, ethnicity, and race, any disabilities. And then once you've filled out those 3 tabs, you can go to the lower right-hand corner arrow and press that. And then is there anything else you want to tell us about housing challenges? Anything they tell you. It's very hard to save enough to move into an apartment. And that's it. Once you press this check mark on this screen, that'll be the end of this survey. It's going to ask you if you want to send it now using your data, which is send now, or if you want to save it in your outbox, which will let you upload them at a later time. I recommend, if you're comfortable using your data, to just send now so that they are sent in as you complete them. And you will see some information being sent over, and then it'll take you back to this screen. And now you'll see you have a sent box at the bottom, and you have collect again that you can choose to do another survey. If you do an observation survey, it will look a little bit different. If you're not able to talk to that person, they ask you why you were unable to talk to them, and then you'll use the arrow in the lower right-hand corner. You know where you are when you saw them. You could also fill in both of these. You could say corner of Market and Pershing, but you could also say you know that that happens to be in York City. And then on to the next screen. It's going to ask how many people you're seeing there. It's going to ask how confident you are in that person being homeless. So if you see someone sleeping in a tent or outdoors or in a car with all of their belongings, then they are most definitely homeless. If you see someone sleeping in a car, for example, but the car is relatively tidy, doesn't seem to have a lot of clothes and belongings in it, you might want to choose something like possibly. Approximate age, if possible. If not, there is a don't know option. Gender, if possible. We recognize that you would be assuming gender from visual cues, and that's okay in this situation. Race, again, this is visual cues, do the best that you can. And ethnicity, visual cues, do the best that you can. Any other characteristics? They have a blue backpack, they have a large tattoo of a cat on their hand, whatever it might be that you can see. They have a large beard. Anything. Once you've done those, that's all you are going to do for an observation, and you'll press the check mark in the lower right-hand corner. Again, I recommend sending now as long as you're comfortable using your data. If you are not, it will save to your outbox. We will provide more instruction in the next video on what to do if you are not in a place with data, or if you are in airplane mode and not wanting to send your surveys. I'm going to send now. And that's it.